particular doesn't necessarily have to be done, 2 hours of 9 and 5. But there's a lot of different responsibilities that I have. And so I do those, sometimes because I get up really early, 5 o'clock in the morning, I'm taking care of things. If I know I need to be at, one of my kids' schools for something that afternoon. So just kind of all fits in together. At least from my experience, it would have been very difficult to come into public accounting with a child because, you're proving yourself. I mean, those first couple of years are really, really important. And so I waited, and then I had my second child when I was a senior manager, so they're actually 6 years apart. And I think a lot of that was because it was really hard. I mean, I was a senior, I was in charge of a lot of these engagements, and I was a mom. And I was trying to get home, and, so it was the conflicting. But I actually went on a reduced work schedule during that time, which is 40. That was 40 hours. There's different reduced work schedules, but that gives you an idea. That the expectation isn't that you work 40 hours. That their expectation is that certain times a year you work 50, sometimes 60 hours a week. And I wanted to make sure that I could maintain that schedule. So I did that for many years, where I worked 40 hours. And it wasn't always easy. I mean, it truly isn't. There's certain times of the year, like in the summer for us, because we do focus on the Fortune 500, so we have a lot of calendar year-end clients. So in the summer, there's just not a ton going on outside of the quarter work we do. And I have 6 weeks of vacation, so I utilize that. I also, take a week off Thanksgiving and 2 weeks off Christmas, New Year's, because that's a slow time as well. And so, in a total year, I'd say I have a lot of flexibility. In January and February, I have none. My son, when he was 3, said, I hate busy season. And he doesn't even really understand what I do, but he just knows that in January and February, I work a lot. But I feel like it makes up because, when they're home in the summer, I'm not working crazy hours. I work from home a lot. I take a lot of time off. And so, I look at it kind of in a bigger picture, and all in all, I think I have a lot of flexibility. I'm not tied to it.
I'll add to that is when Carrie and I started working, there was no technology that lets you basically take everything home on your computer or on your phone or what have you.
You didn't have a computer, right?
You had to lug, yeah, exactly. You had to lug bags of files home with you. Now, everything, because I do the same thing Carrie does. I'm very, I have 2 kids, and I'm home when they're home, and I eat dinner with them, and then I'll work late at night or whatever. But now it's much easier to just take home your work because your work is your computer.
From the other end, I'm pretty new, so I don't have a lot of that flexibility.
You should tell me about that.
I think that the biggest expectation is you get your work done, no matter if that's, 20 hours a week or 80 hours a week. You're just expected to do your job and do it well, of course. But you're just expected to do it. So I know during the summer I had some weeks where I had 8 hours of work. So I would go to the office twice and then wouldn't show up the rest of the week. Didn't need to. Whereas during my busy season, I had a lot of larger clients, not quite Fortune 500, but I would spend 75, 80 hours at the client. But the biggest thing, I think, is, when I was in your place not too long ago, I was terrified when they told me 55-hour minimum, you're going to work 60 to 70 hours, you get super, I can't speak for everyone, but I got super intimidated by that. But when I went into my first busy season just this past year, working 70 hours just seemed normal. It was easy. I still went home, I do sports, I'm on the board for the Special Olympics, I do different kind of interactions. I work with Beta Alpha Psi. So I'm still able to do all that and work my busy season hours. It's just, you kind of go into zombie mode a little bit, but you get used to it, and you know how to handle it, you know how to work the regimen. So for some people, they're night people, and they work into the night. I'm early morning, so I'm up at 5 o'clock in the morning, do what I need to do, and then I'm done by 6. So I think it's definitely manageable. So it's intimidating, but it's not as bad as you think.
Yeah, those hours too. So it's not like you're just sitting there by yourself. You're working with a group of people, and so I don't know. It becomes like a family, and it's more fun than it really sounds.
And it's shocking how quickly you get used to it too.
Yeah.
I mean, it really is. So I kind of work on the same mindset as Kate, that you do your work first, and that's really the most. I don't have to be there a set amount of hours, but even with the concerts and stuff like that, a lot of times I'm working nights and weekends and stuff like that. But for me, I'm the kind of guy that likes to be there between 8 and 5. And then with my additional hours, I just like being available at all times. But I don't necessarily have to do that. don't need to do that. So.
I heard a recent master's graduate, Lindsay Hector, who I now work with, say that once busy season came around, after she had gone through the master's program, it was cake. And I will also speak to the reduced work hours. I actually did the same thing as of a year ago because I do community service and I wanted to be able to do that year round. So I took my schedule down to 40 hours year round versus our firm required 55 hours during busy season.